Hey friends, welcome back. I'm Phoenix, a quiet girl with a strong spirit and a heart that loves to wander. Life has taught me how to be strong. Through every challenge, I collect stories, and here, I share them with you. So take a deep breath, and let's begin today's journey together. Thank you for being here. Whether this is your first episode or your 50th, I'm so grateful you pressed play. Maybe you're listening with sleepy eyes at night, or maybe you're walking through a quiet morning street, looking for a little light to start your day. Wherever you are, I hope this episode finds you gently. Tonight, I want to talk about something that often feels frustrating. Something we all want to get better at, but often don't know how. Habits. Tiny things we do every day, or wish we did. We read books about them. We make resolutions. We say, this time I'll stick with it. But so often we don't. And then we blame ourselves. But what if habits aren't about discipline or willpower? What if they're about something softer, like rhythm or love? Tonight's episode is not a how-to guide. It's a conversation, a warm one, about how small, gentle habits can change your life. And I'll share a story from someone who's changed millions of lives with this exact idea. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. You don't need to climb the whole mountain today. You just need to put on your shoes. So let's start with a small step, together. This morning, I watched something beautiful. It wasn't a sunrise or a bird in flight. It was just my neighbor. He's an older man, maybe in his late 70s. Every morning at exactly 6:15, he steps out of his small gate. He wears the same soft cardigan. He walks slowly, watering his row of potted plants, the same way every day. Then he sits on a wooden bench by the wall, pours hot tea from a little thermos, and just watches the world wake up. No phone, no rush, no checklist, just a quiet ritual. I've lived here for 3 years, and I think he's done that every single morning, rain or shine. And it made me wonder, what does that do to a person? What happens when your day begins with something so simple and so steady? I stood there for a while watching him, and for a moment I felt peace. Not because of the tea or the cardigan or the plants, but because of the rhythm. There was something anchoring about it. Like even if the world spins too fast, his world knows how to begin. And I thought, maybe that's what habits are. They aren't just productivity tools. They're anchors. They're the soft rituals that hold our lives together when things fall apart. Have you ever had a habit like that? Something tiny, maybe unnoticed, but sacred in your day? Maybe it's how you always start your morning with a glass of warm water. Maybe it's the quiet moment you take before sleep to stretch your back. Maybe it's the way you listen to music while making breakfast, humming a little tune only you know. These are not big things. They don't show up on social media or goal-setting apps. But they matter, because in the chaos of our lives, when everything feels uncertain, our habits are what remain. But here's the thing. Most of us aren't very kind to ourselves when it comes to habits. We say things like, I need to wake up at 5 a.m. I should exercise every day. I'll journal every night, no excuses. We set big, loud goals. And then we get tired. We miss a day. We feel guilty. And suddenly, the habit becomes a punishment. Not a ritual. Not a rhythm. Just another way we feel like we're not enough. But my neighbor wasn't doing that. He wasn't rushing to get better. He wasn't measuring himself. He was just showing up. And somehow, I think that's enough. So let me ask you something. What is one small thing you do, or could do, every day that brings you home to yourself? Something that doesn't scream productivity. Something that isn't for anyone else. Just you. Just a gentle moment to say, I'm here. I'm breathing. I'm alive. You see, habits don't have to be loud. They don't need to be perfect. And they definitely don't need to be impressive. In fact, the quietest habits often have the deepest roots. Like the way a tree grows, not from shouting, but from silently reaching for the sun every day. Your habits can be like that too. No pressure. Just quiet, steady movement. And maybe like my neighbor, one day someone will look at you and feel peace. Not because of what you've done, but because of how you live. So today's story doesn't begin with a challenge. It begins with a chair, a cup of tea, and a soft cardigan. It begins with a person who understands something many of us forget. The best habits don't change the world in a day. They gently change us day by day. Let's keep walking. Let's be honest. Most of us want good habits. We buy new journals. We watch productivity videos. We create to-do lists with colorful checkboxes. And for the first few days, it feels amazing. You wake up early. You stretch. You drink water. You read 10 pages. You feel like you're finally becoming that person. But then, one morning you feel tired. You skip the water. You sleep late. You scroll on your phone instead of reading. And that soft little voice inside whispers, "You failed. Again." Sound familiar? I've been there too. You set a habit. You miss it. And suddenly it feels like all your progress is gone. And worse, you blame yourself. You think, "I have no discipline. I always mess things up. I'm just not the kind of person who can stick to things." But here's a gentle truth I want you to hold close. Missing one day is not failure. It's part of the rhythm. Let's imagine a song. It has ups and downs. Fast beats, slow beats, quiet pauses. If you miss a beat, do you throw away the whole song? No. You keep playing. Habits work the same way. They're not tests. They're not punishments. They're just rhythms. And another truth? You don't need to be perfect. You just need to return. If you've stopped journaling for a week, you can still pick up the pen tonight. If you haven't walked in a while, you can still tie your shoes tomorrow. If you forgot to drink water today, you can still pour a glass right now. Returning is more powerful than starting. Because when you return, you prove to yourself that love is still alive. Love for your future. Love for your process. Love for who you're becoming. Let me tell you something I once did. A few years ago, I wanted to write every day. Just 10 minutes. That's all. But after a few good days, I stopped. Life got messy. I felt tired. And then, I didn't write for 3 whole weeks. I remember sitting there, looking at my dusty notebook. And my brain said, "What's the point now?" But something soft in me, something phoenix-like, whispered, "Start again." But smaller. So I did. That day, I didn't write for 10 minutes. I wrote just one sentence. It wasn't deep. It wasn't beautiful. It simply said, "I'm trying again." And that was enough. That one sentence brought me back. And from there, I kept going, one line at a time. Here's a soft metaphor for you. Habits are like watering a plant. You don't scream at it to grow. You don't blame it for being slow. You just water it. Gently. Consistently. And if you forget one day, the plant doesn't hate you. It just waits patiently. Because what matters most is not that you never miss, but that you always return. So tonight, if you're listening and thinking, "I'm too inconsistent. I've already broken the habit. I'll never be disciplined enough." I want you to know, you're not broken. You're just human. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to come home to yourself, again and again. Let's let go of the guilt. Let's stop making habits feel like chains. And start seeing them as love letters. Love letters that say, "I believe in you. I care about your future. I'm choosing you a little more every day." Because that's what habits are. Not rules. Not punishment. Not proof of perfection. Just quiet choices made with gentle hope. And if you've lost your rhythm, it's okay. The song is still playing. And your part is still waiting. Just pick it up. From wherever you are. And begin again. So let's shift the lens a little. Let's step away from guilt. And toward gentle action. Because here's something most people never told us. Big changes don't require big energy. They require tiny consistency. You don't have to change your life in one day. You just need to change how this day begins. Let me offer you a small image. Imagine trying to push a heavy wheel. At first, it doesn't move. You lean harder. You feel silly. But then a tiny shift. A creak. A roll. You keep pushing just a little more. And slowly it turns. Habits are like that. They're not instant. They begin with awkward, invisible effort. But the more you show up, even for just 2 minutes, the more your wheel begins to turn. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, calls this the 2-minute rule. It means, want to start meditating? Just sit on the floor for 2 minutes. Want to write a book? Just write one sentence. Want to run a marathon? Just put on your shoes. The goal isn't to finish. The goal is to begin. Because when you start small, you remove the fear. And when the fear is gone, you begin to feel safe. And when you feel safe, you come back tomorrow. Let me repeat that for you. Small beginnings create safe returns. That's the secret to habit building. It's not willpower. It's not hustle. It's a soft path your feet want to return to. Here's another gentle shift. Instead of asking, "How can I do this forever?" Try asking, "How can I do this today with softness?" Instead of, "I'll work out every day at 6 a.m." Try, "I'll stretch for 2 minutes after brushing my teeth." Instead of, "I'll never skip a day." Try, "If I miss a day, I'll return with love." See how different that feels? One feels like a prison. The other feels like a path. Let me tell you how I used this in my own life. For the longest time, I wanted to be someone who journals. I imagined pages filled with thoughts, feelings, poems, and reflections. But every time I bought a new notebook, I froze. It felt too serious. Too final. Too perfect. So I told myself, you don't have to write a full page. Just one sentence. Even if it's nonsense. And one night I wrote, the moon looks like a slice of orange tonight. That was it. No deep meaning. No big emotional release. But it was mine. And the next night, I came back. And wrote another sentence. Now it's been months. And I have pages and pages. Not because I forced myself, but because I made it easy to return. You see, momentum doesn't come from motivation. It comes from movement. And the smallest movement is always enough. Let's make it even simpler. Here's a tiny framework you can use every day. Make it easy. Reduce the friction. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow. Want to stretch more? Leave your mat by your bed. Make it obvious. Use visual reminders. Sticky notes. Alarms. A cup that only holds water at 9 a.m. Make it gentle. No punishments. No shame. Just softness and steady love. Because that's how habits stick. Not with force, but with kindness. So here's your shift. Stop trying to change everything. Just build one tiny bridge. Walk across it every day. Even if it's just one step. Because one step today is always better than 10 steps you'll never take. And eventually, those small steps become your rhythm. Your rhythm becomes your routine. And your routine becomes your life. So my dear friend, what's one habit you've been avoiding because it felt too big? Can you shrink it down into something you can do in just 2 minutes? Can you whisper it into your life instead of shouting it? Because even whispers have power. Even tiny sparks can start a gentle fire. Tonight, I want to offer you a truth. It's not loud. It's not complicated. But it might change the way you see yourself. Here it is. Consistency beats intensity. Not just in habits, but in healing, learning, loving, and living. You see, anyone can do something once. You can go to the gym for 3 hours one day. You can write 10 pages in one inspired night. You can eat clean, meditate, stretch, clean your whole house for one perfect day. But then what happens? You burn out. You forget. You get busy. You stop. And that's okay. It's human. But here's what really changes your life. The things you do even when it's boring. Even when it's small. Even when no one sees. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine a person who lights a candle every night. Just one candle. Same time. Same space. The act is simple. But slowly, their body begins to recognize it. Candle equals peace. Candle equals end of day. Candle equals time to return to myself. Over time, that candle becomes more than wax and fire. It becomes a signal, a ritual, a rhythm. And the same is true with habits. When I started drinking a glass of water first thing every morning, I didn't expect much. No big health goal. No transformation. Just water. But a few weeks in, I noticed something. That one glass began to shift my mindset. It whispered, today I choose to care for myself. Even if the rest of the day got messy, I began it with care. That's when I realized, habits aren't about outcomes. They're about identity. Every time you show up, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Not perfectly, not loudly, but consistently. You want to be a reader? Read one page. You want to be a writer? Write one line. You want to be kind? Say one gentle word. And if you miss a day, that's okay. Just vote again tomorrow. It's not about streaks. It's about story. The story you're quietly telling yourself. The one that says, I'm showing up for my life. Even if it's messy. Even if it's small. Even if it's silent. Let's talk about brushing your teeth. You don't need to feel inspired to do it. You don't need a playlist or a tracker. You just do it, because it's part of your identity. You're a person who cares for their teeth. What if your other habits could feel like that too? What if drinking water, walking outside, journaling one line, wasn't something you had to force, but just something you do? That's where real change lives. In the small acts you stop questioning. Because they've become part of you. So tonight's truth spark is simple. You don't need to be intense. You don't need to go big. You just need to go again. And again. And again. Because every gentle return is a quiet revolution. So let me ask you, thought balloon, what is one small thing you can do tomorrow that your future self will thank you for? Not something huge. Not something Instagram worthy. Just something you do. Because you've chosen to love yourself, one step at a time. Let's shift the way we think about failure. Because when it comes to habits, so many of us carry an old belief. If I don't do it perfectly, it doesn't count. Or worse, if I can't stick with it, maybe I'm not meant for this. But what if that belief isn't true? What if it's not about perfection at all? What if the messiness, the missed days, the shaky starts, are part of the beauty? Because here's the quiet truth. Imperfect beginnings hold magic. Let me tell you a story. You've probably heard the name James Clear. He's the author of Atomic Habits, one of the most loved books in the world about habit building. Millions of people follow his words, his frameworks, his tips. But before all of that, James Clear was just a teenager, struggling to recover from a serious injury. In high school, he was hit in the face with a baseball bat. He had a fractured skull. He couldn't breathe on his own. He was in a coma. It was a long, painful road to recovery. And when he finally returned home, he didn't start with big goals. He didn't wake up and say, "I will become a best-selling author." He started with the smallest habits. Making his bed, writing one line in his journal, reading one page, lifting tiny weights. These were not impressive. Consistency beats intensity. And that truth is enough to change your life. Let it live in you. Let it grow. One tiny, beautiful, ordinary day at a time. They were gentle, but they stacked up. One good decision led to another. One moment of care grew into a rhythm, and that rhythm built a life. Years later, James Clear wrote a book that transformed the way we all think about habits. But the book didn't come from brilliance. It came from recovery, from quiet rebuilding, from choosing to return again and again to the smallest step. So what does that mean for you? It means you don't need to wait to feel ready. You don't need to wait to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You can start from the middle. You can start from the mess. You can start from exactly where you are. Because tiny, loving actions, they build momentum, and momentum builds identity, and identity becomes reality. So here's the reframe. It's not about how far you go today. It's about who you're becoming slowly with kindness. You are not defined by how many days you missed. You are not defined by how fast you go. You are defined by how gently you return. Think of your habit as a plant. Even if you forget to water it, it doesn't die right away. It waits. It trusts you'll return. It knows you care. You don't need to start over. You just need to keep growing. And that, my friend, is enough. So the next time you hear that voice, the one that says, "You always give up. You're not disciplined. You'll never change," answer it softly. Say, "I'm just starting small, like James Clear did." And small is where the magic lives. Because the real win is not in never falling. It's in always rising. With softness, with patience, and with love. Before we end tonight's journey, I want to leave you with something simple, but meaningful. A phrase. Just a few words. But they hold a lot of wisdom, especially when it comes to building daily habits. Idiom of the day. Rome wasn't built in a day. Meaning, big and beautiful things take time. You can't rush growth, healing, or change. They all happen little by little, step by step. So often we want results fast. We want to change our diet, fix our sleep, finish the book, learn the language, change our lives, all in 1 week. But real transformation? It's slow and steady, just like building a city. You don't stack a palace in 1 afternoon. You start with bricks, one by one. And that's how your habits work too. Each glass of water, each walk around the block, each line in your notebook. They're bricks. And brick by brick, you are building your Rome. Let me ask you softly, what's one tiny brick you can lay today? Not the whole wall. Not the whole dream. Just the next little step. And if you ever feel discouraged, if the progress feels too slow, come back to this phrase. Rome wasn't built in a day. And neither is a peaceful life. A strong body, a quiet mind, or a healed heart. Let this idiom be a comfort, not a warning. You are not behind. You are not slow. You are simply building something worth waiting for. And the beautiful part? You don't have to finish it today. You just have to keep laying the next brick with care. So take a breath. Be proud of your small steps. And remember, your Rome is coming. Brick by brick. Breath by breath. Day by day. So here we are, my friend. At the end of this gentle journey together. And maybe tonight you feel something softer inside you. A little more hope. A little more trust. A little more faith in small beginnings. Let's hold close what this episode whispered. Big change doesn't come from big effort. Consistency beats intensity. Habits are not punishments, but quiet promises to your future self. And if you miss a day, that's not failure. That's simply life. The beauty is in returning again and again. So I invite you to choose just one small habit this week. Something you can do in 2 minutes or less. Drink water first thing in the morning. Stretch your arms before bed. Write one honest sentence in your notebook. Pause and take a deep breath before you open your phone. One small thing. That's all. And then let it grow naturally day by day. because your future self is waiting, and each gentle choice you make today is a love letter to them. Thank you for sharing this space with me. Every time you press play, it feels like we're sitting together in the quiet, talking softly about things that truly matter, and I never take that for granted. Now, before we close, I'd love to hear from you. What small habit are you starting this week? Share it in the comments. Your words might inspire someone else. And if this episode touched your heart, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might need a gentle reminder tonight. Every comment, every click, every share helps this little community grow. And I'm so grateful for that. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. One quiet step at a time. This is Phoenix, and I believe in you always. See you next time.